You ready?
Yes, I
Okay.
guess so. Yeah.
No? No?
No, yeah, I'm ready, ready.
Okay.
Hey, welcome to the North of the Castle podcast. My name is Ruben.
Oh, right.
Oh my gosh, this is not a good start.
We're going through all the little.
Guys, it's just
Bumps on
your
the road.
name. It's just your name.
Just try it. Just try it.
Hey, welcome to the welcome to North of the Castle podcast. Welcome to the North. It's not
Welcome
the
to
North.
North.
Hey, welcome to North of the Castle podcast. My name is Ruben.
I'm Dora.
And I'm Ambrose.
And this is the place where we talk about all things Disney, Universal, and more. And today's topic is what makes Disney so magical.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good one to start on because it just comes down to why do we all love Disney so much? What makes it something that's exciting for us that we just want to keep going back?
Yeah, okay, here's a confession. I never really went to Disney growing up as a kid. And so when you were like, "Hey, let's go to Disney," like 3 years ago or whatever, I was like, I don't really get the hype. Like, I know a lot of people, were really interested, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, you have to go to Disney." But to be honest, I kind of thought it was like a glorified Wonderland, like a glorified theme park. And it wasn't until I actually got there that I was like, wow, like this is not that at all.
I think for me, it's like a little bit different because I loved Disney growing up. Watched all the movies, had like all the VHSs. For those who don't know what that is, it's tapes. So basically, like,
Yeah, like
but
way
however,
to date us.
but however, like, there's no way for like my family at that time didn't have any way of going to Disney. So it was always just like through seeing people go, getting little trinkets and gifts from other people when they went to Disney. So it's I only experienced Disney parks through like other people. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I actually grew up, I was like the complete opposite of you guys. I grew up going to Disney. My parents used to take us. We went like pretty regularly when we were younger, and then we just stopped going kind of when we became teens. And then when we were adults again, a couple of times right before Ruben and I got married, actually, we went on a few trips. And I grew up loving Disney, and I had all the experiences. Like, we used to stay on site. We used to do the full like park days, like rope drop to like, and at the time they used to do the extended hours, and they were included if you were staying in the resort. So they would do the extended hours. And so we would be there from like 7 a.m. to like 11 p.m. every single day, even as like little kids. So I grew up loving it. And that's why I was really excited to take Ruben and take, at the time it was just Arabella, our oldest. And I was like, okay, we're going to go. And then when COVID hit, that was when like our plans started to pivot. But for years, I was so excited to take him. And I was so nervous that his experience was going to be kind of like, and he was going to like hate it.
I legit thought, I'm like, it's going to be fine. Like, to be honest, my kids are going to enjoy it more. It's like Wonderland or like a theme park. I'm taking my kids to enjoy themselves. I don't even like rides. Like, I'm at that stage, I feel, like maybe in my life that I'm not really into like, take me on like a roller coaster. But like, no, Disney, we can get into it, but
it won you over, right?
Won me over. There's nothing else in the same
He's
category.
hooked onto it, you know?
Yeah, hooked. Hooked is one way to put it. No, I'm like, I didn't get it until I went, and I was like, I understand why this is not just a place for little kids, especially as someone who grew up watching Disney Channel shows, Disney movies. It was cool getting to see, I guess, things in real life. So, yeah. What made it magical for you, Ambrose?
I think before I say that, I think I'm gonna take a step back and look at what Dora said about growing up there with and her parents taking her there. I think that's like the dream, firstly,
Yeah.
for me, because it was always like, oh, parents or mom, dad, can we go? And they were like, oh, we don't have that much money this year. Maybe we'll go next year. And I was like, sweet, next year. And then the year after that was next year, next year, next year. It wasn't only till like after I got married where I was like, our honeymoon is going to be connected to Disney. We're going to go to Disney. and that's the only time where like actually went to Disney after all those years of waiting and hoping and seeing all the commercials and everything. So like, so I'm jealous a little bit, but I think we all have our own journeys towards like going to
Yeah.
Disney and theme parks and stuff. Yeah.
And did it live up to the experience where you like, okay, all my childhood dreams have been fulfilled?
Oh, 100%. Like,
Okay.
not even okay. I'll share my first experience of Disney before I go into Ruben's question. Is that like originally our first cruise, which was on our honeymoon, we were not gonna go to Disney, but we went to was it uh, Disney Springs. We
Oh,
went to
okay.
World of Disney, right?
Yeah.
And then I get hit with this insane nostalgia trip where everything is there, picking up those like even the I think the Snow White like notebook, and it's like the old school cover of like everything, right?
Oh,
And
wow.
I remember seeing that. My wife's like, Viv's like, "You okay?" And I'm like, I start tearing up. And, not the most manly thing to do, especially on your honeymoon. But like, I start tearing up. I'm like, "Yo, Viv, we have to go. We have to go to Disney." It wasn't part of the plan, and so even like Disney Springs lived up to it. Like just walking there,
Yeah.
being there at night and everything. Oh my goodness, it was intense. And then teared up, and then we booked it, and
Yeah.
the next day we went to Disney. Yeah, for one day at least. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
kind of crazy how like okay, so the when we first went, we drove and we're driving and I know I'm like we're gonna drive and there's gonna be the big like Walt Disney World sign and you're gonna like go through and then it becomes like a whole different world. You drive through that like sign and you enter a different town or a different bubble. It's like it's completely different. And so I remember like we're driving there and on our first trip, I actually drove that last little bit, and then I was letting Ruben sleep, and then I was like, "Hey, like you have to wake up. You have to you have to catch this, right?" So he got up and he's looking, and then we drive through. We go under the sign. He's like, "Oh, that's so cool!" And then we're looking for our resort, and of course, because I'm not the most comfortable driving in the U.S., I made like 20 wrong turns. It took us like an extra hour. We were in the Disney bubble just like going driving in circles until we got to our resort. But even just like from driving through that first entry, you're like, wow. And then like you said, like even Disney Springs lives up to the hype. So our first night, we got to the resort and we checked in, like you can check in through your app.
Which
So we,
I love. I think that is amazing. Checking through your app, come on.
yeah, it was
You don't have to have the awkward like going to the front desk and showing.
Wait, stand, yeah.
and waiting forever because sometimes it's like the person in front of you is asking a million questions, which like they're justified to do, but it takes so long. And so we checked in through the app and we went in, we just quickly like changed the kids and like gotten back like outside. And then I'm like, let's take the bus. Let's go to Disney Springs. We were staying at Coronado Springs, so there's only bus transportation. And like being able to just like get on the bus immediately because there's a bus stop right there and the buses come at, like so frequently and they're clearly labeled and the buses have like Mickey and Minnie and like all the different characters and like our kids are getting hyped to see that they're like, oh, are we gonna go on the Mickey bus? No, we're gonna go on the Minnie bus. And like just the excitement of getting on transportation was insane.
Yeah. I think it's the immersive factor. It's like you're seeing it everywhere. It's like from the smallest little things in the decor of the hotel to the buses. It's crazy. It's crazy how much detail that has gone into creating what really is a bubble. A little like imagineered bubble. A little an oasis that you can kind of almost like get away to and just enjoy. As long as you enjoy the IP, enjoy the parks and all of the stuff.
But you don't even have to really be a huge like you don't have to be big on the IP to really enjoy it. Like you can still enjoy it just by being there. You're transported to a different world. Like Ambrose, do you remember like when you walk in to Magic Kingdom, that first feeling that you got?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you like the music is being piped in and the smells are being piped. It's just like completely different.
You're walking into it straight, and then there's like a curve around. You're like, oh, okay, these are like some older type like buildings. Okay, cool, cute. and then you come around the edge and you turn a little bit right and you see the castle. Bro, I didn't tear, but man, I was like, this is cool.
Yeah, like it's crazy because I can only imagine what your kids were going through because like as adults for us that we like do a lot of research, we know a lot of things, we've had like a good amount of years to like experience it through like online or whatnot and to experience it so like in person it's so different, right? I think it's pretty crazy. And I think to go with your question, Ruben, I think what makes Disney so amazing, so magical, it's the sense of wonder and imagination that it
Yeah.
carries. Like
Yeah.
you said, that bubble. I would say it's not really a bubble. It's more like a different world almost
Yeah.
Yeah.
when you go in, right? I think for me, because I never experienced as much like parks growing up. I think when I speak of like Disney's magic, I would go more towards their movies and their shows and
Yeah.
like right? Because I think after getting married, the only time I went to something Disney was Disney on Ice, and that was when I was a little kid. I just remember Buzz Lightyear and them like skating by. I don't remember much. Okay, but I think like what Disney amazing thing that Disney does is that they were able to captivate your imagination and wonder.
Yeah.
I think even if you go back to like the simplest thing like like Lion King, like it was just a long time ago, but like the idea of like animals talking and then the sense of like being a prince but in an animal form, which is so cool. And then you have like even though it's like people say it's Macbeth or all this stuff and everything, but you can get this sense of wonder. Even with Tarzan, I don't know, Ruben, you growing up as a young guy, I would have loved like swinging on trees talking to animals, and it captivates your sense of like imagination. And then it even goes even more like Toy Story, Ruben's shirt right there. The sense of what if toys can talk? What if they have their um
Yeah.
own like lives and everything? Like I remember like opening the door, closing it really quickly, and quickly opening it again, see if my toys would get up and start moving around, right? So all these different things that, and even like what's it called when uh bugs, like what's it like to be a bug? Even though some people
Yeah.
think that ride's really scary. RIP, it's gone in like
I know.
March 17th. I've never been, but I've seen so many videos. But it's it's just the sense of imagination that it goes. Is that it takes what you first imagine, like, oh, it'd be so cool to be out of space, and then you're like, oh, Adventure Planet, it'd be so cool to be a bug, um, Bug's Life, all these different things. It takes it and like shoots it out like way further, and you get this huge like I don't know, it just makes you feel like a kid again, and you
Yeah.
can see so much more of what you thought was like in your brain of what that idea was, and it even goes further. I think
Yeah.
that's truly the sense of imagination that it inspires for kids, myself, and
Yeah.
just yeah, I think
You,
that's what really
low key Bugs Life, shout out, yo, underrated movie. I love that one as a kid.
100%, dude.
Love that one. Just the arc in that storyline. But I like another reason why the reason why Disney won me over, because I'm not a big theme park person, weirdly enough. But the reason why Disney won me over, it's all the things that you guys were saying. Some things I don't think that's been mentioned. One, the attention to detail and
Yes.
being immersive.
Yeah.
The amount of things they go through, the amount of the efforts that they make to make sure from the moment you walk in to the moment you leave, you are feeling like you are in the movie, you are in the show, you are meeting the characters, is ridiculous. We'll probably get into it at some point, but the creation of Walt Disney World Orlando being on a second level purely so that way nobody gets pulled out of the immersive effect, so nobody sees cast members not in costume because
Yeah.
they're all underground. So they pop up and then you're just experiencing Winnie the Pooh and Tigger and whatever. Like from that all the way to the way they've just created the place, from for me especially, like the cast members that are there, the way they like greet you. Like for me, one of the things that really won me over is just how much the people that actually work there, not the people necessarily in costumes, but the average person who's working there, how much they actually smiled, They were trying to make my kids happy. They asked, them, who's your favorite princess? And went out of their way to kind of just show them that they were seen, that they were valued, that they were appreciated. Like the and then just going above and beyond. It's not just at the resorts. It's how you get there. It's the transportation. It's the hotel rooms. I loved going to the hotel room and then some of the things I've seen where it's like the hotel rooms are literally designed with whether it's Tinkerbell or whether it's Cinderella, or going even just to the things like when we walked into our hotel room at Coronado Springs a few years ago, they welcomed us with on the screen welcome, what was it, welcome you to our family, whatever. And it was just like the littlest of things. And then they actually have great IP where it's like you have great stories like Pirates of the Caribbean, and so many others where it's like they have great rides to go with those things. For me, it's like I legit feel, and I think this is how I'm going to conclude it. I feel pulled out of my world and taken away to a different world to enjoy for a moment. And for me, seeing my kids love that and me getting to enjoy that and add some good food to it is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the nostalgia factor is huge. Like, they play on your nostalgia so that you're just like, oh yeah, some of the rides are kind of old. But you're for example, the Peter Pan ride.
That ride's
never
old,
been. Never
bro.
It's not the best. It's not the best. But do I ride it every single time I go? Yeah, 100%. Because I'm like, oh yeah, I remember watching Peter Pan as a child. I remember wanting to fly. I remember loving Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell was one of my favorite characters. So for me, the nostalgia there, it just hits home. And I'm like, I want to go ride it. And taking my kids on it and seeing them have fun, it's like, oh wow, I love being able to pass that on to them and seeing it with through their eyes, and they're just like, oh my gosh, even in the queues are interactive, so they're seeing if they ring the bell, then these shadow bells ring and things like that, and they're like, how does that happen, how does that work? And I'm like, I don't even know. I don't know how this works, but it's so cool. It's so awesome to be able to just they keep you engaged the entire time. You're not just oh yeah, I'm sitting here waiting in line for an hour and a half, which sometimes you do, but you're doing it while there's other stuff going on.
See, I have a different opinion from that purely because I didn't go to Disney growing up, which is great for those who might listen to this podcast, because I'm not someone I'm nostalgic with all of these rides because I've gone there. And for me, going on the Peter Pan ride, it was a little bit lackluster. I mean, I went on it because I'm like...
How long was the wait, the lineup?
The first time we went, maybe an hour, maybe 45 minutes.
It was about 45, but we went, it was first thing in the morning, so...
It was true. We almost rope dropped it. Basically rope dropped it, I think. But anyhow, what I was saying is that simply, it was just lackluster because we, the ride in its time, take me back, how many ever years it was... Okay, cool. It's a dark ride. You're in a boat, and you're getting to see the nostalgic moments from the movie, which is cool because I love the movie. But the actual ride was, to be honest, kind of lame. I'm like, you can Disney, you got money, you can upgrade this and make this fancy, but there's millions of people who are don't touch the ride. It's nostalgic for us, and so for me,
100%.
Yeah,
I enjoyed, for example, the newer ride, the Snow White ride. Because in my opinion, it's a more fun ride. It's not that crazy, but a little bit more fun. And they added those same elements where it's an interactive line. So you have these gems lighting up with the Snow White ride, because they're miners and they're mining for rocks or whatever, and different things like that. And then I loved, getting to see some of the little, cute little tidbits in that ride. So for me, I love that ride, even though it's not a crazy wild ride, but rides It's a Small World, rides like Peter Pan, for me a little bit lackluster. Winnie the Pooh's kind of in the middle there somewhere too.
I mean, sure. Some of the rides hit the nostalgia based on the actual ride. I mean more so if you grew up just loving a certain movie and then you're still living that out. Again, Pirates of the Caribbean, I have a nostalgia to it because I was oh yeah, I grew up riding this ride. But also then eventually they added in Jack Sparrow because that was like a movie that was built, like that was based on a ride. So they added Jack Sparrow into the ride. And I remember like the first time I went and rode it after that, I was like, oh my gosh, there's Jack Sparrow, there's Jack Sparrow. And I'm like, whoa, how did they make it look like Johnny Depp is actually here? Because it looks just like him. And you're like, is that really him? Like there's a part of you that actually wonders, you're like, is that actually Jack Sparrow?
I mean, I saw one time for a promo, Johnny Depp
was
actually
there.
was there, which is so cool.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not just, it's also the IP. It's not just the ride.
100%.
I think for me, it's like, I'm more leaning towards like it's from the movies. Like once again, like Ruben, I never grew up going to parks. It's from the movies.
Yeah.
But the IPs are phenomenal. I think, like you said, it's the park. It's because I've been to. I guess we can talk about later is which parks we've been to and whatnot. But my experiences of Disney parks is that you get this feeling of you're in the movie, but then also it's like you're not as one of the characters. You yourself is in those like movies and in those rides, which is an amazing experience. I think even like and it appeals to everyone. It's not even like people who are diehard Disney's. They might not like. Well, sorry, it appeals to people who are diehard Disney fans, but also appeals to people who are not diehard Disney fans. Like my wife, she loves Winnie the Pooh. In the queue and on the ride, she was like, "Oh, that's that, and that's this and this, and look at that thing." And I was like, "Oh, wow, I had no idea because I don't know. I'm not a Winnie the Pooh fan as much as her."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's really awesome that, and then I can only imagine what's like having kids there. Like you said, how your kids were like, "Oh, that's so cool" and everything. It's just
Yeah.
Taking kids to Disney is a deadly thing to do. In fact, low key, I wish we took them a little bit later, but also at the same time,
the magic.
I know that's the battle you face because it's like we've gone once and now it's kind of been like every single year we're looking forward to honestly getting away together as a family. I think just valuing that family time is like priceless for us, but also then getting to do something that we all enjoy together. Like getting to talk to what do they call the little iPad thingy that speaks to you?
Oh, Hey Disney.
Hey Disney. Getting to play with Hey Disney in the morning at 6:30 in the morning because you're getting ready to rope drop at 7:30. Kids love that,
That's
like
cute.
get it. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, they definitely, there's like a level of wonder that's there. That's amazing because like they're like, oh my gosh, like I'm really talking to Elsa and Anna. Like I'm actually at Cinderella's castle. Like this is where she lives. So like that wonder is completely like it's unbeatable. But yeah, like going back to just even like the immersive quality of like the way Disney takes care of their parks, it's an entire massive production. It's a big production, which is why like they're called cast members. They're not just called staff. They're not just employees. They're not just like, oh yeah, go talk to that staff member over there, that like person over there who works here. It's like, no, these are cast members because they're putting on a show. Everything from start to finish is a big production. And so you walk in and like the music hits you right away. It's like that music like is transporting you as well to the sets, and like you're like, I remember walking right on Main Street and then you smell this like really sweet smell and you're like, what is that? It smells like waffles almost. You're just like, what is that? And it's like they just pipe that smell in because they want you to be like, oh yeah, you're like walking past the confectionery and the bakery and like there's all these things that like, that smell nice, and it just how clean it is. Like the parks are so clean considering how many millions of people are in and out of those parks on a daily basis. How do they maintain that? But they're so clever about how they continue to like, like where they place their trash cans, how they clean them, how they do everything, and you're just like, okay, so it really transports you and it pulls you out of, you're not walking around going, oh yeah, like this is just like another dirty like theme park. Like when we go to like Canada's Wonderland down the street and it's like, oh, I don't want to sit there. That's kind of gross. Like, no, you don't have that experience at Disney.
No, 100%. I agree with you completely. It's like, it's another thing that makes them so like magical. It's that the commitment to excellence and commitment to like perfection almost.
Yeah.
Because when you go to Disney, every person is like they go up, like you said, above and beyond in order to give you the Disney a magical experience, right?
Yeah.
Remember, like we went to Disney, they would like talk with you, get to know you, like spend time, and even like there's even videos of, I think there was a video I saw recently of, I think Jungle Cruise was down. It was a video of the skipper saying, like looking for jobs, and he's like out there like engaging with the people, and everything, right? And it was really awesome. I think compared to I feel like on our podcast we might like make fun of or compare things to Canada Wonderland because to everyone listening, Canada's Wonderland is I guess the best slash only real theme park in
Yeah.
Canada.
And now-
well,
And now it's Six Flags also. It's part of
Well,
Six
it's
Flags.
like, it's been bought out by Six
Yes.
Flags. Yeah.
So all of our American friends, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's like comparing it to Six Flags.
yeah, and then like you said, it's the whole thing they don't want people to see garbage, and then like I think for Canada's Wonderland, one of the worst things I do not like is when you're walking in the park and suddenly this person walks by, which it's not their fault at all, right? But they walk by with this huge like wheelbarrow of just trash bags, and you get this huge whiff of smell, and you're like,
Yeah.
and then you smell like not good smells, and it's not their fault, right? It's just the way the parks are. Well, it could be management, but it's the way the park is, right? So I think one of the big things is that you, as well as you see mascots and you're able to engage with people in the park,
Yeah.
right?
And I mean, as much as like you said, you see mascots and characters and whatever, but like at Disney, as much as there's characters that you're like in line to go see, there's some that kind of roam in the areas that they belong,
Yes.
and that's also so cool because you're just like yeah, of course, like Peter Pan would just be walking around Fantasyland because that's where
That's so him,
that's
right?
where he would be. Of course, like Jack Sparrow is walking around Adventureland, like that makes sense. And so it's just like, oh yeah, you see Jack Sparrow, you like, oh, that makes perfect sense, and you just want to like, it just fits. It just adds to that level of like, this is a real place with real like characters here, real people who live here and who are doing their thing on a normal basis.
It also helps that the weather's just nice in Florida.
Oh, true.
Like, other than the spats of rain that all of a sudden just
Torrential downpour.
come pouring down for
It's
like...
a bit cold in the morning, though, a little bit sometimes.
I haven't experienced that yet. I mean, maybe it's just the time of year that we go.
When we went in November, it got cold in the morning and in the evening. When we went in November...
I'm in Disney. I spaced it out.
We're Canadians, so we're used to
Yeah.
cold,
When we went in November, though, like, I remember I did not have... I, like, intentionally didn't want to just carry my sweatshirt around, so I didn't bring a sweatshirt. And then, like, end of the night, it got really cold, and we were just waiting for a dining reservation. And so I was just, like, sitting there, and I'm like, I don't want to walk. I don't want to do anything. I sat on, like, a step. This was at Universal, though, not at Disney. But, right, like, close by, same weather, same temperature. And so I just like sat on like a little concrete step, and I just like sat there like this until our dining reservation, and then I'm like, okay, let's go. So yeah, it can get a little bit cold, but the weather is nice. It does add to that magical factor, because being a Canadian, it's like summer is so short and fleeting, and you're like, I just want that extended warmth.
Yeah. One of the things that stands out to me is just how, especially in regular theme parks, what I've noticed is that the lines are the most strenuous parts. It's like waiting, and then you're on the app, and then you're like seeing, oh wow, like Disney wait time is like next level, like they're in their own category of like wait times. But somehow it's so interesting. Like they made the lines interesting, like you're actually seeing part of the story, interacting with part of the story. It's one of the things I actually also enjoyed about Universal. I went to Universal for the first time just this past year, and oh man, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. That line going, whether
Which one?
which
Forbidden
one
Journey?
wasn't Forbidden Journey was, Gringotts was.
Gringotts was amazing.
I was geeking out. Oh, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And again, like there were some things about Universal that like weren't the best in my opinion, but like Harry Potter World, untouchable. like man, it was. And then they're doing a whole new Harry Potter world right now, right? In Epic Universe.
Yeah.
Yep.
But they're really like, I feel like the fact that they're right next to each other is kind of good for the consumer.
Competition.
Because, yeah, they keep upping their game. It's like Universal does better with their, like, and then Disney's like, okay, well, we're going to do the next thing. It's like now that Epic Universe is opening, all of a sudden, like, did you see how many things are closing down this year and like new projects that they're building at Disney? Because everything is just like, okay, well, we need to top that. We need to create our own new lands. We need to create our own new shows. And like, it's for the consumer, it's really great.
Yeah, I heard Big Thunder's closing down for this next season. Big Thunder Mountain.
It's closing for the next year for like a refurb.
For like a refurb, yeah.
But I don't like. There's so many things like Ambrose mentioned, it's Stuff to Be a Bug. That one is fully shutting down and like going away because they're replacing it. So a lot of like new stuff coming up, a lot of things that are like they're bringing in new IP, bringing in new like lands, new themes, and like they have so much land that they're going to just continue to expand because they can.
Okay. So I got a question. Where all have y'all been? Like which part of the Disney parks have y'all been to before? I can tell you mine. Mine's probably the simplest one. I've been to Walt Disney World, Florida, or Walt Disney World, Orlando. That's basically.
But
all
even
I've been
there,
to.
you went to all four
parks
of the theme parks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Animal Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, and Magic Kingdom.
Are we keeping it like Disney exclusive or like Universal too?
Any. Like I guess if we're expanding it, I've been to Universal California, and then I've been to Universal Florida to both sides.
And Islands of Adventure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've done all of the parks at Walt Disney World. I did go to Disneyland twice actually. Once as like a kid with my family, and once as a teenager in high school. Like our high school did like another trip, and then for one day we got to go into
crazy.
Disneyland.
School trips to Disney?
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
That was insane.
What school did you go to? Let the listeners know. What school did you go to?
I'm gonna keep that one to myself. But yeah, that trip was a lot of fun. But we did, just Disney, like we just did Disneyland for the day. So I've never done like Disney's California Adventure. And then we did Universal Hollywood together. And then we also did Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What about you, Ambrose?
So, Dora, some of your experiences are so different than me and Ruben's. Oh my goodness. As a teenager going with your friends to Universal, that's crazy. But yeah, no, for me, I've been to Disneyland and DCA. I did that for 2 days. I went one day each park.
Okay.
I've also been to Universal Studios Japan. So a couple like pre-pandemic, right? I've also been to. Okay, so I've kind of had a half day at Disney. You guys kind of know the story already.
Yes.
So.
Not even half day at Disney. Half day at Magic Kingdom.
Magic Kingdom, my bad. Magic Kingdom, you're right. So I went there, and basically, remember I told you about the nostalgia trip, right? And I was like, oh, I have to go. And I booked it. I'm like, yes, let's go. And then after I booked it, I looked it up. I'm like, oh, no. I booked it on the same day that Disney's Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween was. So the park closes at 6. So we went. We didn't see any what's it called? Fireworks. We didn't see any of the extra shows. We just saw like experience the park. It was phenomenal, but I wish I got more.
Yeah.
Right. I've also been to Disney Sea in Japan as well, and that was fantastic. I would really recommend for anyone who hasn't gone to Japan to go to Japan and go to both the parks. Substantially cheaper than any Disney park, but like those are the things I've been to. I think
I need you to go to Magic Kingdom and watch the fireworks, because I've heard through chatter online that the Disney Sea competes with Magic Kingdom.
No, I've heard it's worse. I mean,
better.
Magic Kingdom is worse. That's what I meant.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I've heard that it's like way better.
Oh no, it's Disney Sea of Dreams. I think it's Sea of Dreams. It's phenomenal. It's like one of the best shows. Because I went to DCA's like World of Colors compared to Sea dreams is like not even close at all. It's like worlds
Yeah.
apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the technology of everything that they like, the Japanese parks are like completely different because they like, it's like if American technology is here, it's just like trying to catch up because like Japanese technology is already like all the way up here. So I don't think there's a comparison when it comes to some of those things.
Yeah. That's exciting. Honestly, I want to hear your take on Orlando versus Japan and see who wins. Okay.
Oh, I actually forgot. I went to Disneyland Paris one time, but like, we spent a day.
That's how memorable. That's how memorable
Okay,
it was.
so at the time it was still called Euro Disney. It was called Euro Disney, and we were on a trip to Paris. And then we were like, okay, we'll go there for a day. And at the time it was like so small and like so, I don't know, it was just not as good. I think also like, I felt like the cast members were not as friendly and then people were not as friendly because, you know, you get like some people there who are kind of like, to like tourists who only speak English and like, they're like, oh, you Canadians, you can't, or Americans, you can't like speak French, and so we got a little bit of attitude. So I remember just like not loving it as much, but I know that they've also done a lot to that park since then. Like I was also in high school at the time, so I was in that stage where it was like it wasn't as cool to be into Disney, and at the same time like it was not as great as like the like American parks in my opinion, so I was like whatever.
Yeah. Even just like I do want to visit like California, like Disneyland, but even just the fact that the castles don't live up to the same like height for me, it's gonna be like
the little tiny castle, the
little
very small
tiny
one?
whatever. I think Paris is like a pink castle if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, the
Like,
Paris one is apparently really nice though.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll see if we
Because
ever.
from what I heard, like Paris's Disney Paris has like really nice aesthetics, but then it doesn't. People say it's like its sister park right beside it is not the greatest, but then I heard that like the stuff are pretty nice.
Yeah.
I do also want to travel there too because we have family in the UK, and then if you get there, up there, it's much cheaper.
Yeah.
I would like to go back to Disneyland now as an adult because like growing up when I went there it was like it's smaller than Walt Disney World, and now I feel like seeing it with different eyes, being like, okay, this is the original park, this is like, yeah, it's Baby Castle, but it's the original castle. Like seeing that I think would be like I'd have a different appreciation for it now.
Yeah, it's fair. I have a question.
Mhm.
What would you say is like your favorite ride that you rode at Disney?
Oh gosh.
If you only got one, and I'm not giving you any more like specifics, like interpret the question as you would, what would you say is like your favorite ride in Disney?
Oh, I already know.
Yeah? Wow.
Yeah.
I need to think about
I
that
think I
one.
know Ruben's as well.
I don't even know mine.
Ambrose, do you have one?
No, I'm still thinking. You go ahead first. Oh, this is a tough one.
Okay. For me, and it's a weird one because like I didn't grow up riding it, but Guardians of the Galaxy, hands down.
Wow.
That was
Cosmic
my-
Rewind, or
Yeah, Cosmic Rewind. That was the best ride. Like the technology is so amazing, and then it's very immersive. It's a thrill ride, but it's not super scary because I'm not somebody who could do something that's like super like scary or over the top. Like we did Velocicoaster at Universal, and I thought I was gonna die. So like this was like a level that I could handle. But like I do really like Marvel movies. I like the IP, so I think that helped. Even though Guardians is not my favorite of the Marvel movies, but like I still enjoyed it. I thought the pre-show was great. The ride was great. I would do it, and the first time I did it by myself because we had the kids, so we had to do rider swap. And Arabella was tall enough to go, but she was a little bit scared because of how intense like the ride was for her at the time. So Ruben and her went on together, and then I went on by myself, and I just rode with like another mom who was there, and her kids were together, so she had to ride by herself. And I remember like at the very end, like we looked at our ride photo and we're both like dying laughing and like our hair is flying and like we just felt so much like we bonded in that moment, even though we didn't know each other, because we were like, oh my gosh, like that was such a fun experience and we would totally do that again. So that would be my favorite.
That's cool. What about you, Ambrose?
There's so many. Like, can I do like? Does it have to be favorite? Like, just like one ride, only one ride.
One ride.
Oh, that's tough.
If you were like, okay,
Reserve the right to change your mind.
if you were going into one of the Disney parks, doesn't matter which one, but you were told like you can go into one park and you can ride one ride, but that's all you have time for. Which one would you prioritize?
I think for me it's a bit difficult because I've only been to like certain parks. I haven't been to a lot of the Disney World ones, but I would say, oh, that's tough. It would be either. I can say either, but I'll choose one at the end. Okay, either Ride of the Resistance
Rise of the Resistance, okay.
or I forgot the Cars ride. I forgot the name of it.
Okay.
Disneyland.
Disneyland Cars ride. So I would say, because I love both IPs,
Yeah.
but I would say because of the immersion that you feel and the experience, I would say Rise of the Resistance would be my number one at the moment.
Wow.
Nice. Okay.
Still open for
Wow.
my mind to be changed.
Now, just to be clear, you've never been to Epcot before.
I have not.
Okay. So, when you go to Epcot next, you have to document it. That way we can get an update. That's fair. Rise of the Resistance. And for me, all of Walt Disney World Orlando, Star Wars Land is top 3 in terms of world creation, in terms of the artistry, in terms of the storytelling, in terms of the cast members, in terms of just feeling like you are legit, immersed into Star Wars. So Rise of the Resistance 2, like, awesome ride with the new technology in the ride.
That's a great ride. That's like top 3 for me probably, and I don't even like Star Wars. I've watched them.
You watched them so that
I watched them so I could enjoy the ride. Yeah, because I was like,
you did the same thing Viv did. She like binge watched so many Disney things and before we went. Nice.
Yeah, 100%. Because I had never watched any of the Star Wars movies, and then we went to on our first family trip, and we went to Galaxy's Edge. And as we were walking around Galaxy's Edge, I'm like, this is kind of cool. I'm like, I want to understand. So then, and I didn't ride Rise of the Resistance that time because I'm like, again, we had to do rider swap, and I'm like, I'm not going to enjoy this because I don't really know it to go ride this by myself. So I didn't bother. But then I watched it before our second trip, and I'm like, okay, now I know. And that is a great ride, even though like I'm not a huge fan of the IP.
Yeah, I love Star Wars. Do you love Star Wars?
Oh, I love Star Wars so much.
Yeah.
And I got to take a selfie with Boba Fett, and I was like, because he was
cool.
walking, I was like,
yeah,
can I take a selfie? And he was like, it was so cool.
That's cool. I passed by. Me and the kids were waiting for Dora. She was doing something. I think we were actually on a ride, and I had our 2 little kiddos, and Kylo Ren passed us, and I got a quick like video because I was like, yo, and he was like in character, like angry. It was great.
Yeah, we saw Chewbacca actually walking by, and the kids. It's so funny. Mila was like, oh, the bear, and then Arabella's like, Chewie.
Yeah,
that's so cute.
They kept telling me they want pictures with the robots. They kept pulling me to the robots.
To the droids, yeah.
Did you do the data pad thing that you can like hack the robots?
No, we didn't.
Oh, that's a thing?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
no, if you can go on to My Disney whatever, and then you can play with a little game, and it hacks it, and then the world interacts with your phone. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of like hidden games like that, and like it's things like that, like hidden games, hidden scavenger hunts, like challenges, things that you can do around the parks that you're like, I had no idea exists. And like, unless you're somebody who goes there regularly enough that you're like, I'm not prioritizing rides and shows and things like that, then you don't necessarily have time to do all those things. Like, we didn't have time because we're like running from ride to show to show, and like you don't get as much time to do everything. Wait, you didn't take what your favorite ride was?
Yeah. you know what? I thinking about it, I think I'd have to go with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
Ooh,
But-
I've never been on it, so tell me more.
Okay, I mean, like Dora kind of.
You guys, yeah, kind of.
She gave a little bit already, and all of those things true. I don't even know what else I would add. You pretty much covered it. Yeah, I think I'd go with that. I think one of the things I really liked about it. Here's one thing. It wasn't too like hard of a ride. Like I wasn't coming out of it with like neck pain, back pain because it was whipping me around and felt hard. I enjoyed it. And I'm not someone who loves high thrill rides. Like, we'll get into it when we talk about Universal. But talking about that Jurassic ride, bro, I want to die on that ride. Like, that is not a me ride at all.
I heard it was it's an amazing ride, though.
Yeah, I'm sure you love it. I hated it. But in terms of thrill level, the most thrilly ride ever.
Yeah.
Everybody who loves thrill rides, that is your bread and butter, 100%. But like for me, Guardians was that beautiful level of story along with the thrill fun factor. So I think Guardians, but here's the crazy part. I think the question really then, if I can ask this question, I don't know if I'm tapping into other podcast topics here, but my question, okay? Best ride ever, period. Doesn't have to be Disney. Because in my mind, I'll tell you where I'm coming from. For me personally, we did a mini little trip to Orlando, and we got a chance to do Universal and then Epcot back to back. And I got to ride back to back days. Hagrid's, what's it called? Hagrid's
Magical Adventure. Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventures.
TM. So I got to ride that ride in Universal, and then the very next day I got to ride Guardians of the Galaxy, the Guardians of the Galaxy ride,
Cosmic Rewind.
Cosmic Rewind. Thank you, in Epcot. And personally speaking, hot take, but Hagrid's beats Guardians for me. It's crazy because, in my opinion, Disney is in another class of their own. Universal still is not in their class, in my opinion.
Wait till Epic Universe. We don't know.
I know, and you know what? Epic Universe could be epic, so like I'm down. But like until May, like the truth is that like for me, like Disney's still in a class on their own, and the fact that Universal was able to create a ride that, in my opinion, is the best ride when it comes to the storytelling and the theatrical and the nostalgia and the thrill factor. Guys, that was a wrap.
I
like
think-
best ride ever.
I
period,
think
for me.
part of that though is your own slant because you love Harry Potter. You grew up watching those movies. Like you grew up really just like for context, since we've been married, every winter, right before Christmas, he's just like, let's watch Harry Potter. Let's watch them all. And he wants to like watch.
As he should, right? It's phenomenal.
We'll do like a full like marathon. So he like his experience with that, I think also I think that sways you a little bit too.
I get that, and maybe that's a part of it. But here's the crazy part. Out of all of Walt Disney World Orlando, Guardians is not like, oh, I love that IP so much. Like I'm so in love. To be honest, I love Pirates of the Caribbean more. The ride and the creativity and the line and then the actual storytelling of how we're trying to save, these people is what won me over. It's not so much the nostalgia for that. And which is why even though like Gringotts, for example, is an amazing ride. That's a fun ride, but in my opinion, Guardians does it better.
Yeah, but I think like I said, if you had the technology of Guardians and the immersiveness of Guardians, but that was your IP, then I think that would have won you over. But in any,
I can feel Dora just be like, change your mind. I think you're wrong.
Okay, so
Mind.
here's the thing. When we went, and I love Universal too, but when we went in November, the reason we went to Universal is because he was like, I've never done Universal in Florida, and I want to experience it because at the time when we went to Hollywood, I was like, the Florida location is better. I don't know. I know there's a lot that's happened in Hollywood since then, but I was like, the Florida location is better. So we went intentionally so he could experience it because he was like, in his mind, he's like, Universal is gonna beat Disney. And we went and we did 2 days straight there, and he just said to me, he's just like, I hate to say it, but like Disney wins by a long shot.
I wanted Universal to win so bad, because to be told, I love Universal's IP more than Disney.
Of course.
Jurassic Park, like, you know, and just like so many others. But like personally, Disney wins.
Yeah, I mean,
I love how you say it with such a heavy heart. You're like,
because I kept telling him, and
I'm
he's just like,
spoiled for
no. But it's okay. We'll probably get into that on another like episode. But I think it just goes to show like the overall like magic that you experience at Disney, that like even as an adult, even being somebody who is like maybe over some of this IP, like if you asked me now, like I probably couldn't pick a favorite princess or a favorite like whatever for Disney, but like that doesn't change the fact that I see that castle and I'm like, oh my gosh, like every single time I'm like drawn to it. Like I have to give it a final look before I leave every single time. We have to start and end our trip at Magic Kingdom because I have to see the castle. That doesn't change, even though I'm a grown woman who realizes that I'm not a princess, nor will I ever be one. But there's still that like pull to it.
It's just,
I just imagine in my eyes like Nora just being, as she's leaving, till next time, I'll see you later.
100%.
I do, but see, the thing is,
she does that.
The thing is, because we have kids, I can say that and be like, kids, say bye to the castle, say bye Disney, but it's really me saying it. I'm just trying to, like, I want to look normal. 100%. I like, the inner kid comes out. When we were riding Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventures, you see the Hagrid animatronic and you go past it. We rode it twice. Both times, like, just verbal, like, slip. I couldn't control myself. I'm like, hi, Hagrid! It's like...
Love it.
You just become a child.
I was like, who is this person?
You've been just like...
Oh, I was
an
shocked.
animatronic.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just like, what's wrong with you? But I'm like, you can't help it. You. So yes, as I leave, I do say goodbye to the castle. I do say goodbye to Disney. Also, as we're leaving the Disney bubble, I'm like, bye Disney, bye hotel.
Yeah, I mean, the castle is magical, and honestly, it's why we chose the name North of the Castle, right? Like, we're Canadians who love Disney, and we're north of Orlando, Florida, north of the castle. But I think like I think it's fun. It's fun that we get the privilege of being able to visit, be able to experience it without having to actually take a plane because we can drive down. And honestly, just exciting.
Yeah, but I mean, we're gonna take a plane. We're gonna fly there in May, this coming May. So we'll.
Jealous.
Yeah, we have lots of like things that we can cover, you know, in future episodes about just like what that's like for Canadians, like driving down, flying down, things to pack, things that you should expect that might be a little bit different than what we're used to here. Don't eat their poutine, for example.
No, like
I think there's
facts,
in
though.
Disney Springs, or no, I think downtown Disney, they have like a special poutineery there, and I see it and I'm like, why are people lining up for that? It's not even real. Like,
So we went to the Canadian Pavilion at Epcot, and
did you guys?
please
tell me you tried it. Okay,
we tried a poutine, and like the fries were like hard and kind of stale, and the gravy was kind of cold, and the cheese didn't melt. The cheese curds didn't melt because they were cold, and we were like, what is this? Like, this is not what we love.
What makes a poutine is the gravy. Let's just be real. It's the flavor of the gravy. The gravy was terrible. I was very disappointed. I immediately was like, we need something else to change the flavor of my mouth because this poutine is so bad.
But see, that's the thing. It's like, as Canadians, you go to any fast food place and there's poutine available. You go to Disney or Universal and it's tater tots. And it's like, that's that's different, but it's fun.
That's weird. But honestly, I love it. It was pretty good. Tater tots, especially when they're crispy, they good.
Yeah. So, Disney magic.
Yeah.
Disney at its finest.
Yeah. Awesome. I think we'll wrap it up there. I think, it's a great start to our podcast. I'm excited. I'm excited for all the different topics that we're gonna cover. Our list is growing. I was just
We have a bunch
looking
of things to talk about.
Yeah. Like
Because
our,
it's
Some
like,
controversial, but a lot of really awesome things to talk about. And I think it's really interesting because our podcast is what we're trying to do is we're not influencers or professional people who go to Disney every single day. I wish we could, but
That's it.
Canadian dollar, but also basically just distance and stuff. So we're just
Yeah.
a bunch of average people, families, just sharing our love for Disney, maybe some hacks or something in the future about being Canadian and how to go to Disney, whatever. But it's just average people sharing love for Disney. I think that's
yeah.
pretty much who we are.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sure like there are some things that people will find helpful.
Yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be some tips and some things along the way. We'll talk about things like lightning lanes and foods to try and like things to pack and shows that you like should absolutely
Yeah.
watch and shows you can skip and things like that. But
Yeah.
there's also gonna be just like talking to your best friend about a trip that you loved because that's exciting and being able to recap that and being like, well, what did you enjoy? Because that's just that's part of like why we started this. Is we were just like having fun chatting about all of our different experiences every time we saw each other.
Well, that's our first podcast of North of the Castle. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.